Hi, everyone. Happy Friday and welcome to today's immigration chat. So, today I will be talking about how to get a B-2, B-1 visa for the US. So, if you want to visit the US and you have been wondering, how do I actually get this visa? Well, this is the live for you. Okay, so I am Lilian Chokura. I am the attorney at Lily Legal, where we help our clients get status for themselves and their families using the U.S. immigration law system. So, like I said, we'll be talking about how to get a visiting visa to the US, what you need to know, what type of documents you need, and I will be answering all your questions as well. So, feel free to put your questions in the comments. If you are watching on the replay, as you know, you can always put your questions in the comments. I am here to answer your questions, okay? So, first thing first, if you would like to schedule a private consultation with me, just know you can do that by going to my website, lilylegal.com, or by calling the number on the screen. You can also get all my contact information in the description to this video. Okay? So, now that that's out of the way, let's get into what is a B1, B2 visa, who qualifies for it, and how it works. Okay, so a B1, B2 visa is basically a visitor's visa to the US. Okay, this is how you, right? This is how you that is outside of the US that wants to visit the US can actually get a visa to come here and visit, whether it's for a quick trip, you're visiting family, you're here for a mini vacation, whatever it is, you're here for a business conference. So all of those things fall into the visiting visa. So come, let's talk about it. The first thing you need to know is that anyone can actually apply for a visiting visa to the US. And yeah, every time I say that, people are like, huh, don't you have to be this amount of wealthy? Don't you have to be, disconnected in order to get it? Well, no, you don't actually need the connections. You don't need any of that in order to apply for a visiting visa. However, and this is where, you know, every single time whenever I talk about visiting visas, there's always a caveat, right? Y'all know this. As always, y'all know this. There's always something. So, in order to actually qualify, right? In order to actually qualify for a visiting visa, you have to one, be able to show that you can support yourself while you're in the US. I'll get into how you can prove all of that, but let's get into the basic requirements, okay? One, you have to show that um you have the resources to support yourself while you're in the US. Support your trip back to your home country. So it's not just that, oh, you have a ticket, a one-way ticket to the US and, you're staying with family, but can you support yourself back home as well? So they look at all of that while determining whether to give you the visa or not. So that's something that's really important that you want to keep an eye on and know that it really matters. Okay. It really, really matters when it comes to the visiting visa, who's applying for it, and all of that. Okay. Second thing you need to know is that you have to show this is an absolute requirement. There's no way around this. You have to show that you will go back to your home country when your visit is over. Okay? You have to show that you will go back to your home country when your visit is over. That's the other requirement, and it is a very, very strict requirement. There's no way around this. This is just, there's no way around it. Okay. You have to show that you will go back and that you have enough ties, enough things in your home country that will make you want to go back. Okay. And that you can afford to be away from those things. So let's say you have a job. Can you actually afford to be away from your job for 6 months? If you were taking a 6 month trip to the US, can you afford to be away from your job for 6 whole months and come back and your job is still there? Are you in that type of position? Okay. So those are things to really pay attention to when you are considering applying for a visiting visa. So let's start with sufficient funds. Do you have enough money to support yourself? So there's no number. And people always ask me, is there a number that I need to have in my account in order to show that I can support myself? And no, there's no number, but it also depends on your length of trip. Like if you're coming to the US for a weekend, the amount of money you need to have for a weekend trip versus a 6 month trip are completely different. Okay. So someone coming here for a couple days is not is not expected to have the same amount of money in their account to support them as someone staying here for 6 months. And then if you're also coming with your family, the amount of money that's required is going to be higher. Okay, so just keep that in mind. There's no specific amount of money that the US government expects you to have, but depending on how long you're going to stay, they're going to expect a higher amount of money. Okay, so you need to have enough for your flight tickets. You need to have enough for if you're staying at in a hotel, right? If you're staying with family, your family can vouch for you and say that they will give you a place to stay. If you're staying with friends, the same thing. But no, so people confuse that with an invitation. So, do you need an invitation to come to the US in order for you to be able to get a visiting visa? The answer to that is no. You don't need an invitation. However, you need a purpose, right? You need a purpose to your trip. If you are coming here for a business meeting, you're not actually conducting business, but you're just here, you want to open a branch here, or you're in media and you want to interview someone, but all the editing, all of that is going to take place in your home country at your home studio, and all you're doing here is literally coming in with your equipment, interviewing the person, and maybe spend a weekend, see the US and go back. Fine. The person that you're interviewing can do a letter basically saying, yes, I am being interviewed by this company and this specific person, whatever reason they're being interviewed for. But it needs to be a specific, it can be a general, but when they are coming here for business and it's a business meeting, you need to show that you're coming here for a business meeting. Who are you having the meeting with? What's the purpose of the meeting? Do you have a company, right? Is this a job interview? Like, what is really the purpose of you coming to the US? And sometimes your only purpose, and I love saying this because sometimes people are so hung up on getting an invitation that they forget that millions of people come to the US every single year without knowing a single person in the US. Okay, so it could be that the purpose of your trip is to go to Disneyland or Disney World or whatever, right? Universal Studios, whatever it is, you're coming here for a specific trip. You want your kids to have this adventure and go to Disney World because they've never been. And that's your purpose. And you can show that you have a reservation for Disney World for however length of stay. You have booked your pass to the different rides and all of that. You have a return ticket. You're flying straight to, you know, if it's the one in Orlando, you're flying straight there. And you really put your trip plans together, and you have the actual documentation to back it up to show that you have a reservation for this purpose, right? So do you need an invitation? No, but it depends on the purpose of your trip. Now, if the purpose of your trip is to go to a conference, and that conference requires an invitation from the people hosting the conference, then yes, definitely you need that invitation, right? If you are speaking at a conference, right, you need the organization that's hosting the conference to say that yes, you are a part of this conference, you're speaking at this event, or whatever it is that you're coming for, and that you are a part of the program. You can get those documentations showing that you are a part of the program. So it's not that you need, right? So this is specific. That's the thing. Everyone thinks they need an invitation. You don't need an invitation if what you're coming for is independent of individuals, right? If you are coming for vacation to a specific event, right? You have, like I said, gave the example of going to Disney World, right? If that's your purpose of coming to the US and your whole trip is centered around going to Disney World, and you can show that you have reservations for Disney World for the length of time that you're supposed to be here. So you're here, let's say you want to visit for a week, and you're doing a week trip to Disney World. Your reservation needs to show that you're going to be in Disney World for a week. Okay? That means hotel, Airbnb, whatever it is that you're going to be staying in. If you're going to do the full Disney experience, you should have reservations for that for your interview, because the officer will need to see that that is actually the purpose of your trip and you don't have ulterior motives. The cost for a full week at Disney World is expensive. Okay, it's not $100. So if that is the purpose of your trip and you already have reservations, they're going to look at that favorably. So that's one thing. The purpose of your trip is only one part of the whole process. So even if you're able to show that you have the reservation at Disney World, you have paid whatever it costs to reserve the room, your card is on file, your payment, you have your flights, everything done, the officer still needs to say that that they have confidence that you will go back to your home country. Okay. So again, the purpose of your trip is only one part. Now let's get into, how do you actually show that you will go back, that you have sufficient ties? That's the term, that you have sufficient ties, which just means that you have enough going on for you in your home country that you're not about to leave that to come and stay in the US, right? That's what they're really looking at. You have enough going for you in your home country that your trip to the US is really going to be a temporary, quick visit and back. Now, how do you show that? First thing, you show that by showing that you have employment, that either you are employed or you own a business that employs people, or you own a business that, even if it's just you in your business, that your business is actually functioning and will continue functioning while you're outside of the US. So that's something to keep in mind too. If you can shut down your whole operation and go to the US for 6 months and come back, how are you going to convince an officer that your business is so strong and so important that you can't be away from it? Okay, so those are things to keep in mind, because I get a lot of people that talk about, oh, they have a business and they can use their business to get the visiting visa, but you need to pay attention to the details of your business. Okay, if your business cannot survive being shut down for 6 months and you want to come to the US for 6 months and you don't have staff that will continue running your business, um, it's going to be very, very difficult to convince an officer that your trip is just for a visit and that when you come back, your business is still going to be there. You can still pick it up, right? So that's something to keep in mind while you're um, looking at your bank account and all of those things, showing that your trip is temporary and that you have so much going on for you that you will go back to your home country. That's what it's all about. So I get people all the time, like US citizens, that come to me and they're like, I want to send an invitation for my cousin to come for the summer and visit. I'm like, okay, you can do that, right? Your invitation can be, hey, I want this person to come. I'm having a birthday party. I'm having a wedding. That's fine. They're going to stay with me. I'm going to provide for their accommodations, their food, whatever they need while they're in the US. I'll be paying for it. That's all great, right? That's the purpose of the trip. That's the where you're going to stay of the whole situation. Now we get into, does the person, and this is the part people don't really want to talk about, right? Does the person that you're filing for, or the person that's actually that you're inviting, meet the requirements, right? Do they have sufficient ties that they will have enough reason to go back? And if they don't have the sufficient ties, no matter how good your invitation is, they're not getting the visa. Okay. And this is something that people really, really struggle with because it doesn't make sense, right? They're coming to visit me, quick trip, they're going to go back. Yes, that might be what you believe, but you have to prove it to the officer. And the officer have seen so many people come through their office and, you know, they've heard the same stories over and over. So they are more, you know, they are really nitpicking. So you really, really have to show that the person that's coming here has reasons to go back. So, for example, if it is a student with no family, so they may have parents, that's great, but they don't have a spouse, children, nothing, right? They are let's say they're 21, they're in their final year, right? The trip is a graduation present for them so that once they graduate, they can come and visit the US for the summer and go back. But they don't have a job, right? They don't have a job, they don't have a business, they don't have communal ties. They're not really deeply involved in any organizations that require their presence in order to continue functioning. They don't have a job that's like requiring them physically there in order to continue functioning, right? Um, all those things matter. And the more you pay attention to the details of the person that you're inviting, the more you can look at it from an officer's perspective of whether this person has enough documentation, has enough ties to be able to go back. Okay. So I also get a lot of US citizens that want to get their parents here for a visit. And they are so shocked that their parents are not able to just come for a visit. Okay. So and this is this is stuff that I deal with all the time. So if your parents live in, a rural area, they don't work, They may be involved in their community, but not really. They don't have anyone relying on them. So if they really just move to the US, no one is sitting there like missing them, right? The community as a whole might miss their presence, but there's no one relying on them in order to get food, education, any of those things. So it's hard for them to get a visa, a visiting visa, unless you can show that they have those ties. Another thing to keep in mind is US citizens, right? Parents of US citizens are considered immediate relatives, which means if they give your parent a visa to come here to visit and then they decide to stay, you can turn around and file for them to get permanent residency in the US without ever having to go back to their home country. So they really pay attention to all those things, because if your parent meets those requirements and they um, can easily apply for a visa through you to come here and get permanent residency, and they don't have ties to their home country, they don't have a job, they don't have a business, they don't have minor children relying on them, they don't have a spouse relying on them, um, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to get that visa. So it's really important that before you start filing, that you really explore all the ways that your parent or the individual would show that they have those ties. So I've seen professors, right, that are tenure track able to get a visiting visa, business people, CEOs of big corporations or even small businesses that do have employees, right? So that's the other thing. Like I said, having a business on its own may not be enough, but having a business and, okay, having a business and having employees that rely on you, that your business is able to continue moving while you're in the US, maybe for a quick business trip, a buy-in trip, whatever it is, prospecting, whatever that thing is that you're coming to the US for, is only meant to support your business. And once you're done with the stuff in the US, you're going to go back and apply those things to your business. And showing that connection is where you can actually make a difference. So, for example, if you are in media, I know I used this example before. If you're in media and you have this media company and you want to visit the US, now, if you have a program where you interview businesses or business owners or individuals for your media company, right, for one of your programs, that's a way that you could potentially get a visa to come and interview the individuals that you want on your program. So it is really important that you don't just, like, if that is your purpose, that you don't just ask the person, hey, can you send me an invitation? But that you actually go a step further and actually make it a business transaction where this is the proposal of what I would like to do. If I'm able to get the visa to the US, I would like to interview you. The interview is going to take this many hours or this many days, and we're going to do a whole, thing on you or on your business or whatever it is, and actually be able to show documentation of a contract, right? Where between you and the individuals that you're going to be interviewing, and dates for when these interviews are supposed to take place. It's really detail oriented. You really have to be detail oriented. And you also have to know that you can come here, interview someone, and go back, but you cannot edit the videos here. You cannot actually do the business back end of things here, because then that will be working in the US. But you can do a quick interview and go back. So it's really important that you pay attention to all the ways, right? All the ways that you can show and document your ties to your home country, the purpose of your trip, your financial ability to pay for your trip, or someone else's financial ability to support you or sponsor you while you're here. Okay, knowing that an invitation alone is not enough, right? The invitation shows the purpose of your trip, and sometimes it can also combine to show the sponsorship, like the person that's going to pay for your accommodations or the person that you're going to be staying with, right? But you still have to show that you have enough going on for you in your home country that you will, not maybe, that you will go back to, that they are so strong, those ties are so strong that you have no choice but to go back and continue whatever it is that you are doing. So I hope you find that helpful. I've gotten a lot of questions on the visiting visa and how it works. So I wanted to do this video just breaking down those three things because those are where people really mess up. You do your DS 160, you schedule your appointment. If your embassy is scheduling those, you can schedule your appointment, but you still need those documentation showing the purpose of your trip, the financial backing for your trip, and your ties to your country. And it's not, you have to document it. Okay. You have to document it. You can't just say, oh, I have $1 million in my account. Well, you need to prove that with documents. Oh, I'm the CEO of, whatever big company that's in your country. Well, you need to prove that with documents. So it's really important that you pay attention to those details. Or, for example, I've had people say that, they have employees and they have this. Again, you have to document that with, you have to document that you have employees and that you're paying them, right? So it's really important. And then you need to also just know that if you have employees, the office is most likely going to ask you how you're going to continue paying your employees while you are away, especially if you're going to be away from your business for a long period of time. Okay, so it's really important that you pay attention to those details. And if you have any questions, please go ahead and put them in the comments. I am so happy to talk about this. I love talking about this because I get so many questions on it, and I want to make sure that you have the details and you know what to expect if one if you want to apply for a visiting visa to the US, or you have someone asking you for an invitation in order to apply for a visiting visa to the US, you know that it's not just your invitation alone that makes it possible for the person to get the visa. It's only one part of it. So don't stress if the person isn't able to get the visa. Make sure you tell the person that's applying that they need to also document their ties, because your invitation alone is not enough. Okay, I can't stress that enough. And um, that is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for your time. And remember, if you like this video, go ahead and hit the like button. If you know someone who needs to hear this, go ahead and share this video with them. And if you are watching in a place where you can subscribe, go ahead and hit the subscribe button so you do not miss any of my uploads. And as always, if you would like to schedule a private consultation with me, go ahead and schedule one by calling my office or by going to my website. All my contact information is in the description to this video. Thank you so much. I'm Lilian Chukura. I am the owner of Lily Legal, where we do immigration law and we do it really well. Bye for now. See you next time.